voices to the women to tell us what they think, whether they have become the subject of attacks in this ongoing crisis. We are going to be discussing with three ladies for this edition of the program. Dr. Simo Marcel is still on her way to join us, but already in the studio with us is Delphine Bongo. She is the coordinator of Fume.
No, I'm the field coordinator of Nkumo Fefe.
Nkumo Fefe, and a member of the Southwest Northwest Women Task Force, all the way from Bali. We're glad to have you for the first time with us.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
How is Bali when you left?
Great, cool.
Many persons would want to imagine how life looks like in Bali.
Life in Bali, it's true, before the crisis it's not the same, but it's okay. We live, we go about our activities, and it's not the same like before, but it's okay, it's fine.
Are you not scared?
Scared of?
I don't know, of the prevailing atmosphere or situation.
I will not say I'm scared.
Yeah, you feel at home in Bali?
That's my home. I feel very at home.
Okay, we're glad to have you with us for the first time in our studios. We equally are going to be relating with Professor Lilian Lem-Atanga, who is in the United States of America. Professor, we're glad to have you on the show for the first time.
Thank you very much.
How are you doing too?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Okay, I'll start asking you how you took the killings of Treasure and Comfort.
It's been a build-up of pain. From one you hope is the last, the next you hope is the last, and yesterday, I must admit that I didn't eat yesterday, I didn't work, I didn't read, I didn't do anything. I was just in the utmost pain imaginable.
When you saw that, you told yourself that women have become a subject of attack in this crisis? Or you thought, you felt that they found themselves in the wrong place at the wrong time?
No. I used to hear that women are weapons of war during the Congo crisis. And I never imagined what it meant for a woman to be a weapon of war. Then I read about rape as a weapon of war. That was even milder because at least they were raped and left alive. But the new trend in Cameroon is a trend I've not heard, where women's bodies are used as gruesome weapons of war, irrespective of who is using them. And I think that's the worst thing that can happen to humanity and to women as a whole. I think here, it is us women now. It doesn't matter your color, your tribe, your political orientation. Women are weapons of war. Our bodies are problems. Our thoughts are problems. I think this is getting too far.
You say women are weapons of war. I don't understand that. What do we mean by women being used as weapons of war? Are they used for political propaganda or to pass a message on?
When women begin to be attacked because of who is your brother, who is your husband, who is your boyfriend, who is your father, in relation to a political problem, that is problematic. Because women in themselves are just human beings who are just living their lives. But when you problematize their individual lives and make them political and kill them for that,
We seems to have some connection problem. Eli, can we recognize with Professor out there in the United States of America? But do you also think that women are used as weapons of war? Delphine.
Yes, it's really devastating. Women, because if you look at the trend, you know, it's like they are the ones at the forefront. So we begin to ask ourselves, you know, do we deserve this? We really do not deserve this. We don't deserve this, because they are the ones who are accused of being blacklegs. They are the ones who are being accused of spying on one camp or the other. They are the ones who are being accused of feeding one camp or the other. They are the ones who are being, and I mean, come to think of it, they are these same women who bear these children, you know. We bore them, we bring them to life, and to imagine that they turn around and they start using women, using us, you know, to settle their scores. It is really, really unacceptable. It is unacceptable.
Now, these actions, do you think that it is a calculated move to want to use women to score political points, or women are just unfortunate?
I'm not doing partisan politics, but I would say that I think they are using women to portray their weaknesses, you know, because we have been talking for months, for weeks, for years now, that women should be on the table for a discourse, for a peaceful resolution of this conflict. You know, I never saw any woman, you know, being the initiator of all of this. But now we are the victims. We are the most affected. You know, I would just say that the men are using women just to portray their weaknesses. Why don't you face your fellow man? Why a woman? Why face a woman? Face your fellow man, because you people started this thing. So face each other and sort it out. But as we said it, and we always say and will continue saying, women have to come to the limelight to get meaningful and lasting solution to these problems.
Okay. Have you taken time to reach out to the family of Comfort or Treasure for Muyuka and possibly Bamenda? Or you guys are still working on that?
We are still working on that. I mean, we are just been so terrified and shocked. You know, I could not even look at this image. You know, when I saw these guys first of all lift up this machete, I was like, what is going on? I thought it was a joke. I was like, you know, even my grandmother taught me, even when you're slaughtering your animal or your fowl to eat, you even say a little prayer. And to think of it that there was a subsequent video that even showed that this girl was actually interrogated. She was asked questions and, you know, passed judgment. It is really devastating. You know, we have not, it is, if I tell you I have had a good night's sleep, you know, you can see the times I even sent you some messages. I cannot, we are not sleeping. It is terrible, but we are working on that to see how we can even reach out to them, especially to the children. These children are now, they are left orphans. Who caters for them? We know the mother is the foundation of the home. It's the foundation of the family. It's the foundation of every institution, community. You know, what happens to these children? What happens to them? So it's really unfortunate.
Okay, I don't know whether we are connected to Professor Lillian from the United States. Are you there, Professor?
Yes, I'm present.
Yes, yes. You were trying to explain to us how women are being used as weapons of war.
Yes. When fighting factions put in their mind that women are involved in catering for humanity, we are African people and we know that a woman is at the center of the cradle. They are the ones who nurse. They are the ones.
Wow. Pourquoi la connexion est faible? Okay, certainly we have issues with our connection today. I don't know, but we have just been joined by Zhang Zhang of the Civilian Party. Bonsoir et bienvenue. Ça fait longtemps. Hein?
Bon, c'est quand on est invité qu'on vient. Je m'excuse déjà pour le long time, comme on dit chez vous. Mais non, je suis assez un plaisir d'être ici. Et surtout en ce moment pénible de deuil, où des femmes innocentes sont massacrées pour des raisons inutiles, vraiment inutiles.
Oui, vous avez suivi ce qui se passe dans le nord-ouest et le sud-est.
Tout à fait.
Vos réactions?
La première réaction, c'est celle d'un homme, un être humain qui a mal et qui comprend qu'une femme n'a pas à être d'abord violée, parce que toute la nuit, elle a été violée. Et quand je dis violée, c'est dans le sens le plus atroce du terme, par un nombre impressionnant d'hommes qui ont pris de la drogue. Et vous vous imaginez ce que cette femme a subi. Et le lendemain, elle est entraînée dans la rue, les mains attachées et abattue. C'est pas qu'on a pris une arme, on a tiré sur elle, c'est qu'on a pris la machette, on a tapé, on a tapé, on a tapé, on a tapé, on a tapé jusqu'à ce qu'elle meure. En dehors d'elle, la semaine d'avant, une autre a été tuée parce qu'on estime et on soupçonne qu'elle a des relations avec un policier. 2 jours avant, c'est un enseignant qui a été tué parce qu'il a dit que lui veut donner cours à nos enfants. Il veut continuer à transmettre l'éducation. Hier, c'est une jeune fille qui a dit qu'elle veut faire son bac qu'on a tué. Comme ça, nous avons donc des gens qui ont enlevé leur démon, disons, leur envie, leur bestialité, et l'ont transposé sur les pauvres femmes. Ces femmes-là qui sont nos mamans, nos sœurs, ces femmes-là qui, dans la région du nord-ouest et du sud-ouest, quand il y a eu ce sont les femmes là-bas qui tiennent le foyer. C'est elles qui vont au champ, c'est elles qui nourrissent la famille. On commence à les tuer comme ça. Quand on commence à les tuer comme ça, c'est pour eux, la famille et les enfants. Donc, leur dépêcher à travers l'envoi a une pensée pieuse. Ces mamans qui meurent pour rien, et condamnent avec la dernière énergie ce genre d'actes d'animaux et demandent que justice soit faite. Pour que quand on arrête ces gens-là, il faut les punir avec toute la sévérité qu'il faut.
Now, do you think that women are just victims of what they know little about all? They have brought this on themselves. Professor, I don't know whether you are back. Hello? Do you think that women have brought this pain to themselves, or they're just victims?
Women, we are just victims. Because I don't see where, how a woman should bring that pain upon herself. You know, there's no reason for a woman to bring pain upon herself because she knows her responsibilities. She knows her role that she has to play. So it's really out of place for a woman to deliberately or intentionally bring pain upon herself. You know, we are just victims of the circumstances, and we are, out, we decry, and we say, no, it has to stop. The stakeholders, all the stakeholders should come to put their minds and hearts together and let us get a solution to this problem. Okay. We are tired, we are sick.
Professor, are you there? Hello, Professor.
Yes, I am. I get you 5 on 5.
Yes, can you continue with where this? I don't know what's wrong with the internet today. Just go on.
Yes, we stopped at the point when you asked me how women are weapons of war, and I told you they are weapons not because they cause themselves to be weapons, but by their very nature
Okay.
as African women. Because a woman fits a soldier in our situation, the Cameroon military or the Amber boys, she is tagged a black leg on either side. Because a woman is a brother or a wife to a soldier, she is a black leg. Because a woman, by her very...
Ça n'a jamais dérangé. Hein. Definitely, there's a problem with the network today. Delphine, you are talking of let's just take a practical example. You live in Bali with many women. How is the relationship between you and because I know there are separatist fighters in Bali? What is the rapport between you and the people living there? Are you constantly attacked? Are you suspected?
Well, I'm not suspected. Well, I don't know whether I'm suspected, but all I know is my quest for a peaceful resolution of this conflict. I stand by it. You know, it's true. They are, you know, the non-state armed groups. They are there. Their military is equally there. But we live our lives, and you mind your business. Each and every person minds his or her business. You know, and like I always say, it's not like some of them were fabricated from the laboratory and deposited. They are not drones. They are not caricatures. They are our children. They are our brothers. They are our husbands. You know, there are people we interacted with in the communities before now. So why has it suddenly become I don't know, become a taboo, or become something that you don't have to relate with one camp or another? It is really disturbing.
Are you afraid for other women when you look at what happened to Treasure in Menda and what happened to Comfort in Moyoka and a host of others? Because from this we know that 2 other girls were beheaded in Kumbu and in Batibo, somewhere around Batibo. Do you fear for many more women?
I am, if I say just fear, I'm terrified.
Okay.
I'm terrified. That is why I would call on behalf of our national coordinator that the stakeholders should call for a meaningful and sustainable dialogue with all the parties. There's nobody who is like a no-go zone, or I'm not talking with this person, or I'll not talk with this person. There's no way you can say you will not negotiate or you will not talk with some other person. There's a need for everybody to sit around the table, and for everybody to sit around the table, and women in particular, we have to be there.
Women should be there. Professor, are you back? Seemingly the network is coming from your end, the network issues.
Oh,
yes,
my network shows it's good. Okay.
Yeah, you are developing a point where women are caught between the sea and the fire because they are married to soldiers and maybe their brothers to Amber boys.
Yes, and we are calling on all fighters to desist from attacking women, to desist from killing them and raping them, because relationships, especially family relationships, are not negotiated. I cannot be punished simply for being a sister or a wife to your enemy. So we are calling on the different factions, the state and the non-state fighters, to desist from using women's bodies as weapons of war, to desist from raping them and killing them as has been the situation recently.
Do you, as women, feel betrayed by your children and brothers?
We are betrayed by the systems, by the institutions, because it's gone beyond just an individual's thinking. This thinking has become, it has spread out such that when they are punishing the women, they no longer look at them as mothers or brothers or husbands. They look at them as the enemy, which is problematic, because the moment we fail to protect the civilian in a conflict, we have failed the conflict itself. Humanitarian rights do not allow for the killing of unarmed civilians.
Ok. Monsieur Elie, vous comprenez, est-ce que vous croyez que les mamans ont été trahies?
Je voudrais d'abord dire à Delphine,
oui.
Delphine, que j'admire beaucoup son courage, parce que j'aurais suivi qu'elle vit dans la zone.
Bali.
Oui, elle vit dans la zone où il y a ces conflits. Et être ici et s'exprimer, vous savez, elle peut être à tort accusée de pactiser avec, disons, l'État. Le fait d'être venu ici et de parler, il ne faudrait pas que les séparatistes prennent ça mal et fassent d'elle un procès et disent que non. Le courage qu'elle a de parler, God bless you, et j'admire beaucoup votre courage. Il faut être courageuse en tant que femme de s'exprimer en ce moment-ci. La deuxième chose, c'est que justement son courage qu'elle a avec les autres femmes va entraîner un mouvement. Vous savez, dans les régions chez les anglophones, les femmes ont un rôle essentiel dans la famille, plus que chez nous les francophones, où c'est plutôt l'homme qui est le moteur de la famille. Or, chez eux, ce sont les femmes, et quand les femmes se mettent déjà devant, ça peut avoir un impact. La troisième chose que je veux dire, c'est que les belligérants qui commencent à frapper sur les femmes le font sciemment, parce qu'en touchant les femmes, ça heurte les sensibilités, ça fait mal. Oui, madame, en Cameroun à terre, nous tous sommes fatigués de cette histoire. Maintenant, qu'est-ce qu'il faut faire? Vous avez dit qu'il faut s'asseoir autour d'une table et parler. Et je suis d'accord avec vous qu'il ne faut pas choisir Léonard, je n'aime pas Delphine, j'aime Delphine. Non, c'est une histoire où on doit s'asseoir, qu'on s'aime ou qu'on ne s'aime pas, pour parler. Maintenant, pour qu'on parle, il y a une seule condition, c'est que on prenne les armes, on dépose par terre et on dit allons nous asseoir pour parler. Maintenant, il y en a qui déposent les armes. Il y en a qui refusent de déposer les armes. C'est eux qui sont donc actuellement en train de commettre toutes les terreurs là. Pourquoi? Parce que eux, ils ont trouvé de quoi survivre à travers cela. Quand on vous arrête et qu'on vous tue, ils ont 5 millions de francs CFA. 5 millions. Oui. Parce qu'ils ont justement des gens à l'étranger, aux États-Unis, où le professeur nous suit, en Norvège, en Angleterre, qui financent cela. Et vous savez qu'à un moment donné, quand on tuait un militaire et qu'on ramenait son arme, on avait un bonus. Quand on coupait sa tête, on avait un bonus. Vous prenez un jeune qui, avant cette guerre, ne faisait rien. Peut-être faisait la moto et avait à peine 5 000, 10 000 à la fin de la semaine. Aujourd'hui, il est un seigneur de guerre. Il a les femmes comme il veut, parce qu'il arrête où il veut, les vieux comme il veut. Il a de l'argent, c'est un seigneur de guerre. Pour lui, c'est difficile d'arrêter parce qu'il estime que là, il est un peu plus riche. Donc voilà le combat que nous devons mener. Le combat qu'on a eu, c'est les forces positives doivent lutter contre les forces négatives. Et c'est pourquoi, vous les femmes, quand vous venez parler comme ça, là, il faut qu'on vous encourage. Il faut qu'on vous protège. Il faut que l'armée se déploie de plus en plus pour protéger ces populations. Et la bonne chose qu'il faut faire, c'est que les populations commencent déjà à être fatiguées. Parce que ce qu'on a arrêté hier et avant-hier, ce sont les populations qui ont commencé à les trahir, à les désirer. Vous avez dit qu'on se connaît tous. On connaît qui peut faire quoi, qui. Donc, c'est cette collaboration-là qui est bonne. Et il faut vraiment qu'on s'asseye pour qu'on se regarde dans les yeux et qu'on parle sincèrement.
Professor, he just raised an issue there, though Delphine also did same earlier on. He says that in our communities, women play core roles, very important in deciding how things are supposed to move. Delphine said earlier on that you people are suffering from what you did not start, because you were never there to kickstart this, and you are not into politics. Do you think that women have been sidelined for so long as far as the efforts for a search for a solution to this is concerned? Have you been sidelined?
Yes, I would say so, because usually the warlords on either side, the state on its side and the fighters, the Ambazonia people, it's usually men who start war, and they believe that it is men who should finish a war. But that is wrong, because the greatest victims of war are women. And coming together as Southwest Northwest Women's Task Force, we are putting a voice out there to say, hey, we are those on the ground. We are those who experience the worst forms of torture in relation to this war.
Okay, let me get to Delphine, but just tell me when she's back so that she continues with what she's saying. Delphine, we have not heard many women associations across Cameroon come out to publicly denounce what is happening to women in the northwest and southwest regions. We've not heard much from the women associations.
Maybe I think maybe like Mr. Emil. Okay, like he said, there's that fear factor. You know, there's that fear factor, but I think I should be calling on all women, irrespective of your origin, irrespective of your color, like Prof said. You know, we have to speak up. We have to stand up like one person, now more than ever before. We have to stand up like one person, you know, more than ever before, irrespective of, I mean, who you are, your color, your region, or we have to stand up like one person and denounce all of these atrocities that are being committed.
Yeah, but how will you understand that women association? We have many women associations in Cameroon, in the north, in the south, in the Adamawa, in the littoral here. Why are they? Is it because they are afraid even when they are on this part of the country?
I think that first of all, it will be because of on the basis of their coming together, of forming an association. You know, there are some laws, there are some things that bind and, you know, and rule these associations that, you know, may not permit them to come out to face or to decry certain things. But I think that this crisis, it has gone beyond just a, how can I put it,
making declarations,
you know. I think it is time the women come out, irrespective of your origin, your affiliation, to come out to say no, this is too much on women, because it is affecting all of us. It is, no matter where you are, where you are located, or where you operate, it is affecting the woman, you know. Because I was just, for example, like the case of is it Precious? A few minutes earlier she was dancing, and you could even see, I felt really terrible. That look at this, she's dancing and the men, they are there, they're touching her buttocks. That's violation. When I saw that video, I said that's violation. Then the next thing I know, there's a picture of her dead. I'm like, wow. So who is doing this, and why are they doing it? You know, it's like they take their time, they videotape it and they put it on. Your social media, public. Wow, it is It is really, it's sad. It's really sad. So I think it is a time for women, irrespective of, because I know most of the time they'll say okay, or because maybe it's a political thing. Every human being is a political being. But now, whether you are doing partisan politics or not, that's where the difference comes in, you know. But we are political beings because you have a right to your opinion. You have a right to certain things. You have a right to vote. You have a right to make your choice. You know. So that's being political. You have a right to discuss and, you know, argue. But now, when there's a situation like this, and you know, you think that if you come out, I think if all the women come out like one person, this thing is going to stop the next minute.
Not only the women.
Okay, this thing is going to Professor, are you very disappointed also, because I've spoken with some women from the northwest and southwest region. They are asking the questions why other women across Cameroon are silent about what's happening.
Yes, we must not just sit and say women are silent. Any woman can stand up for every woman. And we are trying to mobilize different women's groups across Cameroon and out of Cameroon. We need to come together as women, irrespective of affiliation, to decry and denounce this kind of violence that is taking over our communities. We need to stand together as women for peace. We need to bring these warring factions to a dialogue table for negotiation. This cannot.
Definitely, seems as if the internet is programmed to work for some seconds, and then they cut. Eli, you are the lone man amongst two women.
Yes.
They think that women across Cameroon are supposed to make their voice to be heard on what is happening.
Dans la continuité de Delphine, je voudrais lui faire comprendre que justement, le problème qui se pose aujourd'hui, c'est ce qu'on appelle l'indifférence. Parce qu'aujourd'hui, on a l'impression, nous les francophones, nous avons l'impression que ça ne concerne que les anglophones. Or, c'est un problème camerounais. À partir du moment où, aujourd'hui, il y a eu une bombe à Yaoundé, Mokolo, ça veut dire que la crise quitte déjà Bali, Mouyouka, oui, ça arrive déjà à Yaoundé et à Douala. Il y a donc justement cette mobilisation générale des femmes qu'il faut mettre en place pour que toutes les femmes, pas seulement les femmes anglophones, que même les femmes francophones de Douala, Yaoundé, Konsamba, Edeya, Marwa, Garoua se lèvent un jour. Il faut qu'il y ait une journée où toutes les femmes vont se lever pour dire non. Trop, c'est trop. Et de l'autre côté, les hommes devront aussi les accompagner dans cette... Parce qu'il est inadmissible. C'est vraiment... Ça fait mal de voir ce qu'on a vu là. Parce qu'une femme a décidé... C'est-à-dire, donc Delphine, qui est anglophone, ne doit plus causer avec moi, qui suis francophone. Ça se comprend. C'est-à-dire... À partir du moment où on verra que Delphine a causé avec Charles ou Élie, condamné à mort, il faut qu'on te tue, il faut qu'on te décapite. Donc, il est donc question et urgent que toutes les femmes se lèvent et qu'elles se mettent debout, comme elles le font souvent le 8 mars, la journée internationale de la femme, que les femmes se lèvent et disent non, les femmes subissent déjà assez ces massacres. Et trop, c'est trop. Et là, je suis tout à fait d'accord avec vous que la religion, la tribu, le parti politique, tout ça là on met de côté. On est des êtres humains et c'est le cœur qui doit parler. Et on se lève et on dit non à ces autres sociétés. Et quand on a fini de dire non, on demande maintenant à ceux qui sont dans le conflit de s'asseoir et de parler. Mais au-delà de parler, il faut que les responsabilités soient tirées. Qu'on sache que non, c'est notre pays. Ça me fait mal de ne plus arriver à Bamenda. Ça me fait mal de ne plus arriver à Balou, j'avais des amis. C'est difficile parce que tu te dis, tu es francophone, tu as peur, on peut te prendre à tout moment, on peut te dire oui, non. Il faut que la paix revienne, Léonard. Il faut que la paix revienne.
Il faut que la paix revienne. Professor, have women been abandoned to be used as weapons of war, like you said earlier on, by the instances that are supposed to provide them with security, beginning with their communities?
I didn't get that.
I'm asking whether you feel that women have been abandoned to be used as weapons of war by the instances that are supposed to provide them with security and protection.
Yes, however, I wouldn't exactly say so. I know some organizations are trying to mitigate all of this, but we do feel failed by the state of Cameroon because personally, I speak for myself, I don't know any specific strategies that have been put to protect women in these conflict situations. I do not know of any safe houses anywhere where battered women can run to, or, well, we will say we have the law, but when we run to the law, we are still attacked. Because if you go to the police and report, just how far is the police going to help you? So this becomes very challenging, and civil society organizations have been very helpful anyway in assisting women with these challenges.
Okay, but you think that international organizations have done enough to educate people? Okay.
No.
I'm talking about the protection of women, yes.
The demands are so wide. You have an intervention that targets 200, 400 women in 1 million or 2 million or 8 million. The population of the Northwest, Southwest is estimated at over 5 million people, with over 52%.
Okay, Delphine, do you people feel abandoned without security for your safety in the midst of the war?
Yes, I would say so, because the perpetrators are the men. The men are the perpetrators. So we have been abandoned.
Nous avons aussi les femmes séparatistes, madame.
We have been abandoned. The perpetrators are the men. And if you look critically, I mean, you talked a while ago about international organizations. We should first of all, solve our problems.
We should look,
I think we should look from within first.
It should start with local solutions. Yeah.
Yes, local solutions. Because we live these atrocities. We bear the brunt, and we cannot go now and start, calling on someone from outside to come and want to solve our in-house problem. Unless the men are telling us they really don't want to solve this problem, then we should start seeking now for outside solutions. But if not, let's solve our problem from within. Let's look for solution from within, because the solution can only come from within us.
Yes, but let's look at the protection for women in the crisis regions. What do you think should be done to provide a greater security for you people?
The warring factors, both the state and the non-state armed groups, they should put down their weapons and dialogue. They should put down their weapons and come to the table for dialogue.
Madame, it's not possible to... C'est pas possible de mettre au même niveau l'armée et les sécessionnistes. It's not the same thing. Les sécessionnistes doivent, eux, déposer les armes et non l'armée. Dans un État, l'armée a pour rôle de vous protéger, de me protéger, de protéger Léonard. Si vous mettez l'armée et ces gens au même niveau, la République est foutue. ils feront tout ce qu'ils veulent.
No, but my question is, yes, okay, you say they are not at the same level, but my question to her is, how do they provide them with security?
Justement, le rôle de l'armée, c'est justement de protéger ces femmes. Mais, vous savez, la protection des populations n'est pas très facile à partir du moment où, dans la population, c'est nous-mêmes qui le faisons. Pour moi, c'est facile de tuer Delphine. Ça se comprend. C'est-à-dire, avec toute la force que Léonard peut avoir pour me protéger, mais c'est facile pour moi de tuer Delphine à partir du moment où Delphine et moi nous sommes voisins. Si Delphine est ma voisine et que je connais son champ, je connais où elle va à l'école, je connais où ses enfants vont, c'est facile pour moi de la tuer. Alors c'est pour ça qu'on demande aux populations de collaborer dans l'information. C'est-à-dire donner l'information quand il faut, donner l'information. Et ça, il dit ça fait mal. C'est vrai que les populations se sentent abandonnées. Parce que quand on tue une femme lundi, on tue une autre mardi, on décapite une autre le troisième jour, les populations ont l'impression que l'armée ne les protège pas. Ça se comprend. Les populations ont l'impression, oh, l'armée essaie de faire ce qu'elle a à faire. It's not easy.
Et pour imaginer encore que peut-être les causes de l'abattu, c'est que parce qu'ils sont en relation
justement,
avec
ça fait peur. Même si Delphine veut dire, même si, je prends l'exemple, même si Delphine a envie de dire ici, c'est pas bon, celui-ci fait, elle aura peur parce qu'on va dire Delphine est une traîtresse. Et on va te mettre au tribunal, on va la déranger toute la nuit et le lendemain on va couper sa tête. Voilà le réel problème.
Professor, how do we get women protected in these regions, given the stakes?
That's a tough one, but if civil society organizations and other governmental and international non-governmental institutions develop safe houses, that can contribute to protecting women. What the Southwest Northwest Women's Task Force, for example, is doing is enhancing education on how women can protect themselves and strive to be non-partisan and non-political by advocating for peace, for dialogue, and cohesive communities where we live together and protect each other without women being a target to these armed groups.
Yeah, which means that a lot of education is supposed to be undertaken. How do you educate the women and possibly those who are targeting you people? We have issues with that line today. Now, the Southwest Northwest Women Task Force, 2 years ago, you organized a campaign, a lamentation campaign that was done in Boya and Bamenda. Is this not the time for even a bigger campaign?
We have that in the pipeline.
Okay.
This was that, like I told you, that we are trying to reach out to these
different groups to.
Okay, go on.
It takes to protect women because if women are not seen as targets, if women are not tagged as black legs in their day-to-day activities, then they can be protected. It's enough for a woman to go to market on a country Sunday to be a victim. Yet, we need to eat. We need to feed the families. How can we feed the families when we stay at home? When we are the ones who are expected to feed the families? So, we are educating everybody, including on such a platform like we have now, that we are for a peaceful resolution of the crisis through negotiated talks between the the conflict parties.
Okay, yes, we were talking about a possible another lamentation campaign, which you say is in the pipeline.
Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is. I think this is when we are, like Prof said a while ago, we are mobilizing every other, women's associations, every other women's groups, that we should come out and stand out like one person, so that we make sure that we put an end. We make sure that there should be a peaceful resolution and that we should not be targets. We should not be targets. Women should not be targets.
Yeah, but the Southwest Northwest Women Task Force has often been attached to the government or accused of having received money from the government to do what they are doing.
That's correct. You know, I think it's not even too long ago. You can see even some of those pictures. My picture is there. And but we'll say it and we'll still say it. We are non-partisan. We are not linked or collecting money from either
of the parties.
The parties. We are a coalition of women, organizations, civil society organizations, grassroots women who have come together to make sure that we raise our voices and to call on the warring parties and factions that there must be a peaceful resolution of this conflict through dialogue.
With all these accusations, you succeed to live in Bali, and people don't suspect that, okay?
Well, I mean, even like 3 weeks ago, I received a phone call from an unknown number. Oh, we followed the black leg, and you went and entered your compound. You are keeping a black leg. Oh, this is oh, blah blah blah. I'm like, who are you? Who are you? Do you think you are fighting this fight more than any other person? Say I'm General whatever. I didn't even remember the name, and I just had to talk to him on the phone, and I told him, I said. So, oh, the next time we're going, I was in Yaoundé. The next time you come to Bali, we're going to. I said, I'm coming to Bali tomorrow. I mean, tonight. I'm traveling tonight. So make sure you arrest me. And by the time you arrest everybody, you will then live with trees and grasses. Nonsense. Do you think you are a superhuman? You are not a superhuman being. You are not a superhuman being. Do you think that this thing is affecting you more than any other person? It's affecting us, the women, more. I mean, after I raised my voice to this guy on the phone, he was claiming to be a general, whether from wherever, I don't know. Oh, no, you know, you're a mother of everybody, you're a mother of all children. I said, no, if you knew I was a mother of every children, or every child, you would not call me to threaten me. You will not call me to threaten me. I said, who is even the, I said, who do you call a black leg? Who do you call a black leg? I said, okay, for that reason, if you think that there's a black leg as you claim, I want to see that black leg because I'll be in Bali. I'm traveling back tonight. I'll be in Bali the following morning. Catch that black leg and bring to me. Don't kill the black leg. Bring the black leg to me. Let me, because I myself am sick and tired of this black leg issue. So I think women, they have to, I mean, they have to be bold. They have to be bold. You know, this is true. It is devastating when you see, you know, some of this, you know, these images. It's really devastating. But I think that we need to do more. Okay. We need to come out. We need to do more than just social media campaigns. We need to do more. We really need to come out again more and more to make sure that they know that this is our stand.
The women are mobilizing. Elisa, you're laughing.
Non, j'ai beaucoup apprécié. Hein. Vous voyez, c'est l'attitude qu'il faut avoir contre ces gens. Quand on l'a appelé, on l'a menacé. Et le fait de parler à cette personne et de lui dire avec un ton autoritaire que tu n'es pas un super-homme. Et la personne a adouci sa voix pour lui dire mais tu es la maman et tout. Voilà. C'est quand les gens comme elle, une personne, 2, 3, 4, 5, si elle avait coopéré, du genre on m'a appelé, je tremble, prends l'argent, hein, faut qu'on appelle le
rançon.
Voilà, elle prend l'argent, elle donne. Ça va donner la force de croire qu'ils ont raison, ce qu'ils font. Or, si comme elle a parlé, là, les autres ont parlé, c'est comme ça qu'avec les postes positifs, ils vont se retrouver petits, ils vont abandonner petit à petit leurs armes. Donc cette dame a beaucoup de courage qu'il faut vraiment apprécier. Parce que quand quelqu'un t'appelle, dit qu'il est le général, la première chose, tu commences à trembler. Mais elle a été courageuse. Elle a dit non, voilà, je serai à Bali demain. matin, tomorrow morning, ils veulent le tuer. Donc, voilà l'attitude qu'il faut avoir, Léonard. Face à l'horreur, face au diable, face à ce qu'elle noie, il faut proposer l'amour, le cœur, le sourire. Et elle a été courageuse. C'est cette attitude qu'il faut avoir. Et c'est pourquoi, quand vous allez lancer votre grande cérémonie, quand les femmes vont se lever, dites-nous, nous aussi les hommes, on doit vous accompagner. On doit vous accompagner. Nous les francophones, c'est surtout nous les francophones qui croyons que, comme il y a 10 régions, comme il n'y a que 2 régions anglophones, ça ne nous concerne pas. Non. C'est quand nous les anglophones, les francophones, nous allons aussi nous lever, comme vous, pour vous accompagner, ça va baisser. Donc quand vous allez le faire, petit à Léonard, qui passe large diffusion, nous on va mettre dans les réseaux sociaux, dans les médias, on va vous accompagner.
Thank you very
clair.
much.
Professor, how do you cope with the constant accusations that you people are sponsored from by the government?
Well, the task force stands for humanity.
Mm-hmm.
They stand for the truth. They stand for justice, and we believe that peace will follow. When a truth is spoken against anybody, they feel uncomfortable and think you are the enemy. But we believe that only the truth shall set us free. The moment we recognize the things that we are doing that are not right and focus on the problem, we are going to move forward. Because we advocate for a ceasefire, we advocate for dialogue and negotiation, we advocate that women should not be made victims of this war. We are targeted as working with the government. They feel that when we carry out activities and are not attacked, as they claim, it is wrong. I must say that we have been attacked individually. We don't go saying it to the world that we have been attacked from all angles, from different angles. So they believe that we are working for the government, which is not true. We stand for truth, we stand for justice, we stand for humanity, we stand for a ceasefire, and we stand for a negotiated dialogue such that peace can reign. We are against the smoking guns. When we say we are against the smoking guns, it becomes problematic because some people believe that this conflict is going to end only with guns. Guns do not speak. Human beings speak. Guns do not solve problems. Human beings solve problems. And that is what we are advocating for.
That is what you are advocating for. I asked Delphine earlier whether this was not a time to organize even a bigger lamentation campaign, given the stakes which are presenting themselves to be very high.
Well, for the short term, we are in the process currently organizing a large media campaign, which is easier for people from across the world to join us on board, and we will be sharing the hashtag and the link to this media campaign, because if we organize just a lamentation campaign where we sit down, we think we will not reach all the stakeholders. We think that we need to tag and tweet all the different parties involved, from the local to
Okay, now I want when she's back, please let me know. But now what I want all you to paint the picture of what women have been doing since the start of this war on both sides. What have you been doing?
We as the
we have two parties to the war, and you say you did not declare the war, but you are taking the highest blue from it. But what is it that you are doing as women to force the hands of both parties to do what you want?
We have been calling, from our lamentation campaign, that the sit-down lamentations that we organized. We do a lot of social media campaigns. We had a press conference in Yaoundé where we issued a statement, and during the pre-dialogue negotiation or pre-dialogue meetings. We were part of the team, and we gave our proposals to the Prime Minister and head of government on what we as women we think should be the solution and the way forward to bring an end to this crisis. So we have been doing a lot, a lot of social media campaigns, a lot of physical, like the lamentation, the press conference, the pre-consultative talks, and eventually even squeezing our way to the table, to the dialogue, the Grand National Dialogue that was organized. And we keep on, despite the threats, we face threats every day. It's just like Prof said, it's that we will not come out to start saying, oh, this one or that one, but we face threats every day. There are even people who, last month when we went, during this outbreak of COVID, we went, our organization, when we did a sensitization and, distribution of kits to the population in Mezam, Bali, and to those living with disabilities. And people were like, how, just like Prof said, people were like, how do you go into this, tread these grounds and you come out untouched? They started, oh, you are this. They start saying, oh, Kumofefet, they are this, they are Amber. And we're like, wait a minute. Does that mean that anything that, does that mean that everybody has to disappear from this village because there's a crisis? No. We go, there are people in need. And believe me, the population that we saw in Bali, the population that is in Bali, somebody else will not even imagine that population.
Yeah, you are saying that the picture that is given out there is different from the reality on ground.
It is, there are times it is grossly exaggerated. Yeah, there are times it is grossly exaggerated. It's like, oh, they're like no human being living there anymore. I live there. I do live there. So, but the moment you can live, you live there successfully. They start wondering, is she not? So you
are suspected.
You are suspected on both sides. Exactly.
The other side.
Exactly.
Will say, okay,
the other side will say, okay, but how come she goes and comes out, or she goes and does things without being attacked? But like I say, these are human beings, both the military, the non-state armed groups. They are human beings. They are our children. They are our husbands. These are children we live with in the community before the crisis. So why is it that because of the crisis, somebody has just suddenly become a monster that you cannot talk with the person, or you cannot face the person head on?
Ok, Elisa, est-ce que l'État et les autres instances doivent aussi se mobiliser à protéger mieux les femmes dans ces régions?
En ce moment, Léonard, ce n'est plus une affaire de femmes. C'est une affaire d'humanité, d'humanisme. C'est-à-dire, toute personne qui a un cœur, toute personne qui est normale, doit se lever et dire non. Si quelqu'un a vu cette vidéo, c'est 23 secondes, si quelqu'un a vu cette vidéo du début à la fin, sans ce qu'il est très fort, parce que cette vidéo faisait mal, ça faisait perdre l'appétit, ça faisait perdre le sommeil, quand tu voyais comment cette femme criait. Et quand tu te rends compte que cette femme a des enfants qu'elle a laissés, c'est ça qui fait encore plus mal. Donc, en ce moment, tout le monde doit être mobilisé dans ce que Delphine et ses amis veulent faire. Et je suis tout à fait entièrement avec vous, dans le sens de votre mobilisation, la communication et tout. Il le faut. C'est nous les francophones, nous devons être les premiers à être devant. Et l'État est le premier à vous soutenir. J'ai su tout à l'heure, Léonard disait que est-ce que l'État... Non, mais le mouvement qu'elles ont là, si l'État leur donne l'argent, elles doivent le prendre. Parce que, justement, l'argent qu'on leur donne, ce n'est pas qu'elles sont devenues qu'elles trahissent. Non, c'est parce qu'elles ont besoin d'argent peut-être pour faire des t-shirts. Même vous devez cotiser. Qu'elle dit vous? Tu dis même moi. Je dois dire, bon, Delphine, voilà ma contribution. Au-delà d'être financier, je dois, même moi, présentement, je dois être là le jour qu'elles vont manifester. Donc, c'est quelque chose qui concerne tout le monde. La société civile, les ONG, l'État, les entreprises, les habitants, les francophones, les anglophones, les bamilekis, tout le monde doit se lever ce jour-là pour soutenir ses mamans, nos soeurs, nos femmes, pour que quand Delphine dit que le matin, elle doit aller au champ, que l'Ambazonian arrête au champ parce qu'elle a dit qu'elle va aller au champ prendre le manioc qui va nourrir sa famille. Non, il faut que ça s'arrête. Donc, tout le monde doit se lever.
Il faut que ça s'arrête. Professor, are you also engaging international organizations? It is true, Delphine says, okay, we should seek solutions out here, but you are out there in the United States. Are you engaging some of these international organizations to put pressure for greater protection of women living in the southwest and northwest regions?
Yes. We engage Cameroonian organizations in the diaspora, and we engage non-Cameroonian organizations in the diaspora. If we notice yesterday, Karen Bass did make a tweet on the happenings on the ground, and the focus was on the abuse of women. The Human Rights Watch also is on it. So the British government also is on it. So a good number of organizations are watching the increased violence against women on the ground, which means that we are doing some good mobilization, not just the Southwest Northwest Women's Task Force, but women's groups across the board. If we do not bring this to the public eye, to especially human rights organizations and other international organizations that can have leverage on the crisis, I don't think that we'll go much far. That is why we are engaging on a Twitter campaign starting next week. I'm taking advantage of this platform to talk about it, to engage many more organizations to interfere in this ongoing crisis, to mitigate, if not eradicate, the violence on the populations, and especially on women and girls, who are the primary victims. We notice the numbers of IDPs and refugees. The highest percentage of them, like I said before, are women.
Okay, most of them are women, but are you also engaging other Cameroonian organizations? I'm talking about women organizations who before now have not been working with the Northwest Southwest Women Task Force.
Yes, there are many locally and internationally. I can name a handful. Locally, we have CAOPEM, which is the Cameroon Women for Peace Network, I think. We have the Southwest Women's Peace and Development Organization. We have the Southern Cameroonian Women's League. We have the Southern Cameroonian European Women's League, and many more that are engaged on the rights of women on the ground, especially in conflict situations. So a lot of these movements were acting independently. Now we are working on concerted efforts. We realize that as individual organizations, it is not going to work. So we are now coming together as different women's organizations to work together so that we can advance this cause, which is very dear to our hearts, which is killing our sisters and our children.
What happens if after the tweeting and social media campaign nothing happens? Are you moving to Yaoundé as women?
We do not expect the tweeting session to solve the crisis. It is a process. And we have moved to Yaoundé before, and we will move to Yaoundé again. Moving to Yaoundé physically and virtually is our objective, because no matter what we do, if we do not engage Yaoundé to take action, then we cannot succeed, because dialogue means two parties. We cannot dialogue with ourselves. We cannot dialogue with the international community. We must dialogue and end the crisis with Yaoundé.
Okay.
If Yaoundé does not open up for dialogue, we cannot succeed. If you look at armed crisis or self-determination issues across the world, you realize that the state party must be engaged with the conflict party for there to be peace. There must be a peace agreement between the state and those who are rebelling against the state. So without that, we cannot succeed. So Yaoundé is our ultimate destination. Our primary objective is to get the government of Cameroon to speak with these people. Our ultimate objective is to attain a situation where there is dialogue between these two people, a negotiation, and therefore a peace agreement such that there is a ceasefire and this conflict ends.
Are you also planning to make moves to the towns hosting the separatist leaders, like you are targeting Yaoundé?
We already live in the towns and we already work with them. So when you say moving, it becomes difficult.
You're already engaging with them?
Yes.
Okay.
On a non-formal basis.
Okay. Now, Delphine, we are talking about the protection of women. You live in Bali. That is at the heart of what is happening in the northwest region. What are you telling the women themselves, basically, on how to protect themselves?
I will first of all say we should act first of all like one person, and talk to these warring factions, be it because we have relations both in the military
and in
the state, and in the non-state armed group. So what I will put out to them is that we should come out like one person and talk to them, that these guns, cutlasses, weapons, knives will not solve this problem. They have to lay these things down and talk and discuss and come to a consensus, an agreement how to solve this, so we can get out of this shit.
Yes, but while you are engaging, like Professor is saying, that they will engage Yaoundé and the separatist leaders, the women need to be alive so that finally when this thing is over, they are living. Are you not also talking to them to stay away from possibilities of getting themselves involved in conflict with both factions?
Sure, of course, because in most of our, like humanitarian actors, we always, we practice what we call the do no harm principle, So we'll always like avoid situations in which you will find yourself, don't endanger yourself, in as much as you are, you're longing for your quest for peace, but don't endanger yourself, don't expose yourself. Don't go beyond, to certain limits. You have to stay on your lane. You have to be neutral. You have to be, protect yourself first. So that is what we preach out to them.
You preach,
and that you preach peace to them, and that they should, preach peace to the others.
Yeah. What is the situation of a typical woman who lives in the southwest and the northwest region? Since you live with them, what are those burdens that they live with?
The burden we live with, especially, I would say me, like in Bali, we live with this burden of gunshots. Like we have sporadic gunshots. There are times you don't even know from where it's coming or from who. It has even gotten to a point where even our children, they can differentiate the gunshot coming from the state armed group and the one coming from the non-state armed group. It has gotten to a point where we live, like during in Bali. Let me give you a typical example. I will not go to show you if you come, you are a stranger and you don't have the telephone number, or maybe you don't get in contact with the person you are coming to meet, and you don't know where the person is. You may not find the person.
In Bali?
Yeah. Because statistics have shown that there are times they come at gunpoint, they take you to go show your neighbor's house, and the neighbor is killed. So there's this we live in real fear and uncertainty. Fear and uncertainty. Our children, they are traumatized. They are the ones who don't even have anywhere to go to. Some of them who have even gone or like escaped to the other regions, you know, they are just so uncomfortable. You can hear, oh no, because you are not in your zone. You can imagine you are in your compound. You have your vegetable farm in your backside. You will harvest your vegetable, your huckleberry to make your fufu and jama. You know. But now you find yourself in Yaoundé. You find yourself in Douala, where you have to maybe twist, and you are squeezing maybe with a family member, or whether with a friend, or whether with who. It is just so uncomfortable and disturbing. A couple of weeks ago, when we were doing the campaign, COVID campaign and social cohesion in Littoral, I was in the neighborhood of Bonaberi. In fact, I came back with more burden in me than, and I could not even imagine. Yes, I could never even have imagined. I looked at children that who used to run around the compound. They will be happy with their pieces of roast cocoyam in their hands, and they are running, and they're just so happy. You saw them, they were all emaciated. You saw the women, they were all, I was like, God, what is happening? What is happening? But now, what do we do? What do we do? So we are calling and saying that this thing has to end. And I thank you very much, Charles, that you say you're going to support us, that everybody from every region, because it's not only us feeling the burden.
Yes, of course.
People even say, oh, non, mais les choses ont devenu trop chères, la maison est devenue trop chère parce qu'il y a trop de
réfugiés.
No, not refugees, internally displaced. Refugees is when you...
Non, les déplacés internes.
Les déplacés internes. Oh, ça est devenu, tout pas même au marché, les choses ont devenu plus chères, oh, c'est son patati patata. It is affecting all the other regions.
Yes.
So there's no reason why all of them should not come out to really support us too.
Okay, Elisa, I want to get your appreciation of the way the international community has been looking at the crisis happening out here in Cameroon.
I have two problems with the international community. Two problems. Le premier problème, c'est la communauté internationale qui ne joue pas franc jeu.
Okay.
Il y a un comité international qui fait comme ça. Il y a un comité international dont ce qui se passe au Cameroun les arrange. Parce que je ne comprends pas, je ne comprends pas comment, une heure après la vidéo qui montre comment cette femme a été massacrée, qu'un Camerounais qui se trouve en Norvège ou à Londres ou à Washington dise que il est content de ce qui s'est passé parce que c'était une traîtresse. Elle partit, elle cause avec l'État
militaire.
Et ces gens-là sont dans ces pays-là. Ces pays-là, ils sont là-bas ensemble. Ils vivent bien là-bas. Leurs enfants vont à l'école, ils sont à l'aise, ils montrent comment leurs enfants ont les diplômes. C'est ce qu'on appelle chez vous les graduations. Ils nous montrent ça. C'est-à-dire comment leurs enfants prennent les diplômes dans les universités américaines, norvégiennes, irlandaises et tout. Mais ils empêchent à nos enfants ici d'aller à l'école. Donc voilà le premier problème que j'ai contre cette communauté internationale-là qui protège ceux qui financent ce qui se passe à Bali, à Garbou, à Batibo, à Santa et tout. Vous avez une autre communauté internationale qui veut que la paix revienne. Vous avez cette communauté internationale-là qui veut que tout redevienne normal. C'est dans cette communauté internationale-là qu'il faut apprécier et avec qui il faut travailler pour que les choses aillent normalement. Donc l'appréciation que moi j'ai de la communauté internationale, c'est que comme Delphine disait, c'est à l'intérieur qu'il faut d'abord lancer les premières solutions.
Exactly.
C'est entre nous. Il faut que Delphine s'asseye. Il faut que Léonard s'asseye. Il faut que le professeur Liliane s'asseye. Il faut que je m'asseye. Il faut que celui qui avait l'arme, qui a fait tôt hier, prenne l'arme de pause et vienne s'asseoir. Il faut que le militaire dise maintenant que ok, on s'assoit et on cause. Qu'est-ce qu'il faut? On essaie de parler et on avance. La communauté internationale vient après, vient nous appuyer après, quand on a fini entre nous de trouver les solutions. La communauté internationale ne va pas trouver une solution plus que vous-même. Elle va même trouver une solution à votre place. Elle va trouver une solution qui vont l'arranger elle. Parce qu'elle sait que à Boya, à Bakassi, il y a le pétrole, et alors, il y a ceci. Donc la communauté internationale viendra vous arranger votre problème dans ses intérêts à elle, qui est la communauté internationale. Oh, les solutions, c'est vous, c'est nous, à l'interne.
Yes, and mind you,
yes.
You know, most of them, if you even look at the statement that they sent out, they said the perpetrators should be brought to, according to the Cameroonian law. Which means they will not come to apply their laws here. They have their own laws governing them. But we have the laws governing us. So, we should not count too much, you know, on the international community. I think it has to first of all begin with us. And once we have, I mean, unless we cannot really agree, but I would say maybe we need them like, say, somebody like a mediator. But I don't know whether I've got to that level of getting a mediator yet. But if it is really impossible for us to talk, then maybe that's when we'll start getting, okay, let's get somebody from outside who can come now and stand and say, okay, I can stand now like, you know, like a referee to arbitrate, you know, between more than...
S'il y a la guerre entre deux frères, si toi et moi on s'engueule, Léonard peut être un bon arbitre parce qu'il est Camerounais comme nous et il nous comprend.
No, but if I'm not comfortable, that Léonard will take your side.
Professor,
I may not be comfortable. Yes.
Professor Liliane, your stance on the international community, what game they are playing. Many of them have reacted to what is happening. Some people say enough with the statements and that they want action.
I am going to speak from a perspective of precedence.
Okay.
I've read some comments on the Facebook page where people say we are at war, it's going to take at least 10 years. People should stop saying this or saying that because the Southwest, Northwest women are sponsored by the state. Let me bring this. I'm going to take two cases. One is South Sudan and the other one is Somalia. Cases we can both learn from. In South Sudan, the war went on for long. South Sudan had two favorable aspects, which we too have in Cameroon. The two favorable aspects were they had resources, oil in particular, and they had a state government that they could negotiate with, which was the government of Sudan. We have the same. We have resources in the southern Cameroons, and we have the state of Cameroon we could negotiate with. But what we fail to see as Cameroonians that makes us different from South Sudan is that South Sudan at least had a stable leadership with which the government of Sudan could speak with. We do not have that leadership. Our leadership is fragmented, it is fractured, and it is shooting itself on the leg. We need to solve that leadership. Secondly, we are eating ourselves. We are killing ourselves instead of having a dialogue. We negotiate for us to seek for ways of talking. People believe it is the guns that are going to bring people to the table. Fair enough. If you think that the war will bring people to the table, we are on our 4th year. People are predicting 10 years. Are these people so inhuman that they want for the community to suffer for 10 years? I don't think that is the stance of North. The stance of Nous is that we have a dialogue. Let's talk peace. We take the case of Somaliland, even though they have not yet had independence, they have a stable government. They have a democracy within themselves. They have peace, they have security, they have stability. Can we say the same of Southern Cameroon? That we have a democracy in Southern Cameroon, we have security, we have stability? No, we cannot say that. So let us stop dreaming that killing ourselves is going to lead us to dialogue. It will not lead us to dialogue. If we do not clean ourselves, nobody will clean that house for us. We need to clean our house. And in cleaning our house is not in killing our women and our children. This gets us really angry. And even if you must do it, must you humiliate it? Death, killing is not acceptable in any form. Talk less of when you humiliate that woman. You dance with her, you humiliate her, you film her before you kill her. Drugs have come into this thing, and I don't think this is the right thing. We need to be looking for ways of solving this problem. The international community cannot do it for us if we are doing what we are doing to ourselves. I think embarking on advocacy and lobbying should be the way forward, rather than social media, rather than insulting each other, rather than saying that it's not a government organization. We are standing here for humanity, for peace, for justice, for truth, for non-violence. We are against the smoking guns. So let us stop thinking that war is the way forward. We are advocating for talk and not blood. Our streets have been bloodied enough. Aren't we tired of seeing the blood? I'm waiting for one person to say that they were not pained by what happened yesterday. I read what the different organizations said, that no, we are not the ones responsible, we decry this, but the government of Cameroon is responsible. Fine. Don't go killing people on the streets. Let the soldiers kill each other at war, not the civilians on the streets.
Okay, Doctor, but are you've read the statement from the US, from the UK and other international organizations? Are you comfortable with their positions? Because this has been the same position they've taken since the beginning of this.
Definitely, I am not comfortable with the position. We continue to advocate for them to come and intervene for a negotiated dialogue. Mm-hmm. Initially, we heard the Swiss were coming for that, and we were very, very hopeful. We don't know what is happening. The crisis in Cameroon are a neglected crisis. Mm-hmm. We are still to decipher or dissect why it is a forgotten crisis. What we need to be doing now is meet these people and convince them and lobby with them for they to interfere and intervene. But the government of Cameroon also says that they are a sovereign state and therefore do not require assistance. If the government of Cameroon does not open up to dialogue with a mediator, it cannot happen. If the African Union does not come in, the United Nations cannot come in. So there are different levels that we need to attain for this to happen. So what are we doing in regard to this, lobbying for these people to come and contribute to the mediation of the crisis? Are we only sitting on Facebook and insulting these organizations for not doing it? Or are we having a dialogue with these organizations, convincing them as to why it is necessary for this to happen? If we continue to kill each other, do we think these organizations are coming to tell us, hey, stop killing yourselves? No. Let us focus our energy on dialoguing, advocating, and lobbying these organizations and even the state of Cameroon for that dialogue. Those are my thoughts.
Okay, those are your thoughts. Delphine, professor, says not wants advocacy. How do you get that done practically? You are living in Cameroon. I know Madame Saleh is in Cameroon, and a host of others. How are you going to push both sides to get to table?
Just like she said a while ago, we'll be starting next week again. We'll continue, not even starting.
Yeah, but you are going to do that on social media.
Yes, that is like a starting point again of this. I mean, this level, because like we can say this is another level of the crisis, another level now, because now women now have now been there, you know. So we'll be starting next week with the social media, and from there we'll continue and we'll take it to, we'll take it to the end. And I'm grateful Charles here says they are ready and willing to join us. So we are starting next week.
Okay, let me take a few messages. Hello, Mr. Leo, good evening to you all in the studio. I'm writing with tears running down my cheek when I watched the videos that circulated on social media on how women are killed by this separatists. I wonder if they think before they act, or if someone is accused of being a black leg as they claim, what evidence do they have against an accused? In fact, it's a curse on those guys who committed such acts. It's Cyprian writing from Limbe. Good evening to you, Cyprian from Limbe. This one, Cynthia writing from Bamenda, says that women are neither. Hello, I'm Cynthia from Bamenda. Women should be educated on life-saving skills in Kominsud NGO in Bamenda. There are safe spaces for women and girls where gender-based violence cases are referred. Women should be assisted with skills which will enable them to be economically secured. Women should be educated on self-esteem. Women are neither the target nor the object. We are currently in a mass campaign aimed at raising 10,000 voices against violence on civilians. I don't know whether this is part of your agenda or this is some other.
No,
okay. Hello, Cynthia. Please just share with us what project you have for women, and we are going to help you. Make it known to the public. Good evening, Zive is writing from Kumba. The government is responsible for those acts. They want the international body to attack the fighters, terrorists, and let the women on Yapane press for justice. Peace is the product of justice. Okay. Greetings, dear panelists. Thanks for coming up with this issue. To me, those women brought the issue on themselves somehow. The act is more than human and barbaric, but all women in these regions know that dating any of the factions is equated to death. In fact, one was buried alive in Kumba. So my advice to all females is for them to know that it is death dating any camp, and with this knowledge make a choice. Jones is writing from Kumba. This is do you understand what Jones is saying from Kumba? That you should neither date an Amber boy or the military. That is, women have feelings now.
Jones from Kumba. Women have feelings just like men, and they have a right to express their feeling. And when I'm expressing my sexual feelings, does it really matter whether you are an Amber or you are a state? I think those are some of the things that we really we cannot control. They are our feelings and they are our rights. We have a right too. We have a right too. We have a right too. Okay. So I don't think that this should even be an issue.
Good evening, Mr. Liu. Any man born of a woman will never support what happened in Moyuka. Let the other Amber boys search for those who did the job. Ngong Ernest is writing from Kumba. Vous avez suivi le professeur et c'était
Delphine.
Oui.
Oh, j'ai beaucoup suivi. Et ce que je veux dire à Delphine, c'est qu'elle soit courageuse. Vous savez, le problème actuellement dans la zone, c'est que ceux qui ont des initiatives, j'ai vu, il y a une téléspectatrice qui a dit qu'elle aussi, elle prévoit faire quelque chose. Donc,
Abomenda.
le plus important étant que pour que ça ait un impact, il faut que toutes les initiatives soient regroupées. Je pourrais par exemple dire à Léonard de mettre la dame de Bamenda en contact avec Delphine pour qu'ensemble qu'elles fassent quelque chose de grandiose. Vous savez, c'est les actions isolées n'ont pas un impact. C'est-à-dire, si 3 femmes se lèvent à Bamenda, 3 se lèvent, ça n'a pas un impact. Or, il faudrait que toutes ces femmes-là s'accordent et que plusieurs personnes se lèvent ce jour-là. Ça aura un impact et qu'avec les francophones, les hommes qui vont aussi se lever, vous verrez que beaucoup de choses vont se passer et les Amabons ils vont beaucoup reculer.
Okay, the lady in question said that each time she goes to the army camp to request the release of her detained brother, they are always asking for love making. Is that not a war crime? Mr. Nembo is writing from Mutengene. Good evening to you, Mr. Nembo. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Is David from Boya. I love the program, but for this now the signal isn't clear. We can't get what the panel is saying. As I announced earlier on, our frequency has moved. We have moved to frequency 12,333, polarity 30,000. Please, we have moved a frequency. We are now on 12,333 and polarity rate or symbol rate is 30,000. Now, Delphine, definitely, what is the way forward? What should women be doing now because you want a definite end to what is happening? What should women do now?
What women should do now is to come out and rise up like one person to say no and call on both parties to come to table and discuss and dialogue so that we bring meaningful and sustainable peace to our region and to the country as a whole.
You think the women can do it?
The women can. The women can. The women can. The women can. Why not?
Will it be easy to mobilize women in, say, a community like Bali, where you live?
Of course. Why not? Why not?
Are you doing that?
Sure.
Okay.
We are. We are. I mean, as a task force like the SNOT, you know, we have women in most of the communities in grassroots. I mean, like I said, it's a coalition of CSOs, NGOs, and, you know, and individuals, grassroots, women, associations. So we have women in almost every division and subdivision.
Okay.
So to mobilize the women, I don't think it's really an issue.
Okay, Professor, what should be the way out of the current impasse?
It's difficult. I think we must not fold our arms and sit down. I think we must stop the blame game. I think we must focus human rights. I think we must continue advocating for dialogue, for ceasefire, and the Amber people, the Amber boys. I think the leaders should work more, well, not the soldiers, but the leaders of these different groups should work more with their enemies to come to the dialogue table rather than focus on the war. I hear a lot of them declaring war. I've heard few of them declare, I went and I met this person and we had failed talks. We should at least even start with failed talks with the enemy rather than no talks at all. Rather than focus only on war, I think we should focus on dialogue. When people at least talk, they at least know the perspective of the other person. If I don't talk with you, I won't know what you think, I won't know what you feel, I won't know what you can give up or what you don't want to give up. So I think that the only way forward is for us to first of all start with a ceasefire, and then we talk with each other, first as local groups, second, as national groups, and then thirdly, with the international community mediating what is happening so that we strive a bargain. There is no way we'll have only win-win-win. We must also have losses to consolidate our gains. I don't think in any situation of conflict, one group has won all the things that they want. No, we have to lose something to gain something. So my advice is that these leaders should start talking with each other, and then they talk with the state of Cameroon. They look for means of talking with the state of Cameroon rather than lay down conditions that are not flexible for a beginning of a dialogue. They should be a little bit flexible to at least give some room for talking, rather than just saying, if this doesn't happen, we don't talk. I don't think that is the way forward.
Okay, but what should our mothers be doing? I'm talking about Nous alongside other women group. Will you just limit yourself to the social media campaign that begins next week?
No. If you have been following us up in the past, we do have statements, we have position papers, and we try to dialogue. Well, it's really not a dialogue, to communicate with these different bodies, telling them our own points of view, advocating for them to lay down weapons and focus on dialogue. When we have these position statements, we share with the different leaders of the non-state groups and the state groups and the international community, hoping that with our experiences on the ground as those who live the crisis, they can at least listen to us. We listened to, last week I think, to Tibon Nagy when he expressed his views about the Southern Cameroon crisis. We did get our previous statement through to him, in which we analyzed the situation of the reconstruction and made our own proposals and suggestions as to how to go about the reconstruction. We also served the state of Cameroon such statements, and we believe that if these different organizations listen to us as those who bear the pain on the ground, rather than hearsay or what they read on the social media, but from women who live this situation from a first-hand situation, from a first-hand perspective, they are going to listen to us and try to craft out a situation where a ceasefire would take place and a dialogue would take place.
Okay, Elizan,
yes.
What should happen now?
Je voudrais dire à professeur Lem que qu'on fasse très attention avec ceux-là qui viennent de l'extérieur, qui veulent nous aider. Thibon a dit, moi ce qui me concerne est dans le rôle des États-Unis qui sont dans le jeu trouble pour la résolution de ce conflit. Je continue de dire que on va s'asseoir entre frères et sœurs, d'abord chez nous, en interne, avec nos frères et nos sœurs qui sont en France, comme professeur Lem et tout, et que ces blancs qu'on cite là, les Tibor Nagué consorts, attendent d'abord. Quand nous aurons trouvé nous-mêmes d'abord les solutions pour gérer ce problème, les Tibor Nagué viendront nous aider. Qu'est-ce qu'il faut faire à l'immédiat, là maintenant? Il faut dire non au massacre sur les femmes. Et le non au massacre sur les femmes, c'est ne plus être indifférent. C'est se lever, comme elles vont se lever là, nous tous, pour leur dire que ce que vous faites n'est pas bien. Maintenant, dans la continuité, asseoir un véritable dialogue dans le sens où certains ne veulent pas déposer les armes, d'autres veulent déposer les armes. Mais il y a aussi cette peur-là. Donc que toutes les femmes soient courageuses comme Delphine le fait là, et qu'ensemble nous levons et que nous disons non. Donc Delphine, moi je suis partant pour que cette mobilisation que vous allez avoir, il faut que tout le monde se lève. Il faut que Prime TV en parle. Il faut que la CRTV en parle. Il faut que Equinox en parle. Il faut que pour un temps qu'on arrête les débats CPDM, CRM, SDF, anglophone, francophone, Bassa, Bamileke, témoin de Jéhovah, on fait ceci. Non. Pour un instant, on doit arrêter tout ça et qu'en une journée, que vous tous les journalistes, vos collègues, vous ne parlez que de cette mobilisation des femmes, que dans les réseaux sociaux, qu'on ne parle que de ça, que les hommes politiques arrêtent un peu la politique de côté, ce jour-là doit être un jour exceptionnel pour que nous, francophones, qui avons la chance, comme a dit Delphine, de voir comment nous sommes ici, on rit, on est content par rapport à nos frères, ceux qui vivent en brousse là-bas, que ce jour-là nous serons tous debout pour les soutenir dans ce combat. Ça peut être aussi pour une fois, parce qu'il y a même eu ça au Cameroun, une journée où tous les Camerounais vont arrêter de faire ce qu'ils ont à faire pour dire non à la sauvagerie en solidarité avec leurs sœurs et leurs frères qui vivent les atrocités là-bas dans le Nous. Il est temps que nous tous nous levons pour cela. Et pour ça, nous sommes partants et nous avons soutenu des filles dans ce combat.
Hello, good evening. Once more, it's Cyprian from Limbe. I want to ask the guy from Kumba who said that women shouldn't date either an Amba boy or a military. Does it mean that if a lady who got married to a military man should divorce her husband because of this crisis? Probably not. So women have the right to date whosoever they want to date. The act is barbaric and the government should increase the speed at which they want to solve this crisis. If not, more women in particular and civilians in general will be killed by both parties. Good evening to you. This one says, please, if you are my enemy, I will not expect you to solve a problem. Thanks. I am Mr. Mwande is writing from Ndop. Good evening to you, Mr. Mwande. Please tell Ma Delphine to come and open a women's group in Kwakwa. I'm sure she has heard your call. Hello, Mr. Leo. Greetings to you in the studio. I'm Far Austin writing from Idea. Why the Anglophone crisis can't get to an end is because the government of Cameroon keeps lying to the population. If the government really wants this crisis to stop, let them speak the truth to the world. Okay. Good evening to you all. We should talk to the uniformed people not to be harassing civilians on market days, just as what happened in mile 28 Womb Road. As a result of that, Womb Road has been blocked by our boys for fear of their parents not to be beaten. Okay, I don't know where your boys are. This one says, why are we so much interested on the crime committed by the Ambas only and forget about the killings of the soldiers on the innocent citizens, just like the issue of yesterday, which the soldiers killed two little children of an Okada man on their way to look for Yamakuru? Why can them? No, I'm sure. We yesterday's program we started discussing it. We had live videos from Tico. One person was killed and not two. We discussed about that yesterday. We unfortunately have to end at this juncture. Professor, we want to say we are very grateful you're part of the show this evening, and we hope to have you very soon again.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you for the opportunity.
We also want to say we are grateful you came to be part of the program, Delphine, all the way from Bali.
Thank you very much, Leonard. It was a pleasure. Thank you, and anytime you need me, just give me a ring.
Okay, and to you, Zhang. Thank you for coming.
Merci. Et il faut encourager les filles. C'est beaucoup de courage. Et il faut que vous sachiez que nous serons avec vous dans ce combat.
Thank you.
Okay, we also want to thank those of you who took time off to watch the program, especially those who sent text messages. As you know, we can never read all of them. We want also to note that many persons are complaining that you can't get us. We have moved frequencies. We are now on frequency 12,333 and symbol rate 30,000. We want to thank the production team also. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.